Okay, watch the last video on the fact treatment nature before I even got to reading the Genesis in English. That's important to understand. As an organized crime, we're looking at the devil now. I'm not a lawyer. We don't need to be. We're going to use the as nature of English, whereas and how the sciences share an identity as value, and value as nature, which is correlation nature, which is the nature of the value shared by the subject and the verb, and or the verb standing alone because of its value nature relationship to itself. Every identity, because the identity of space is in demonstration to us. Allah's name was used to teach this in conjunction with and as the value of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, Holy Ghost, within temporary space nature. Identity, like our bodies are temporary space nature. Our original identity is also space nature, but it's a clear body of value. Our lasting identity is a clear body of value nature. It's, in other words, the extent of it is only what is debatable, but then it becomes not debatable because you can see through progressions, and you can see the difference between positive and positive and negative value nature progression, being evolution or de-evolution, being the forging of the identity as value here or as value forced from here, Leith of Hades, as positive or negative unto us, because the identity of space will only stay positive unto itself. As the phenomena of the value nature progression of all space, or at least the space we know, compressed here. It's the value of its physical progression. The nature of that is expanding one of the three natures of forever, which is one nature of forever, Allah. But it's in three positions. Before temporary space nature, as a quality of diffusion that created the phenomenon of temporary space nature, and as that quality of diffusion that will only stay progressively positive onto itself with and as the concentrated value of Earth, and or as it's forced from here, and then to be negative value nature progression onto forever nature's perpetually rolls with perfection of the identity of space coming through that too. And while it is being forged with the phenomenon of our identities. So it's a perfect system because it's an unbreakable system, because it's space nature system. See, but we don't go by this overall up, which is the difference between bottom up, which is negative value nature, which is the difference between overall down or top down, which is the difference between correlation. We're looking for correlation nature. See, something that is top down, not positive, in other words, abridged markets, positions, force, shared, police, sec, from force, tactically denatured relationships to nature. Ask any native from any country. Still, I mean, not anyone. People have different. They want to have fights because everyone was tactically pseudo-educated. But truth is just native in sequence nature. That's why the native means are all gone, are tactically denatured. In other words, that's why means that we could have real easy, that we all everyone's heart and souls and nature wants the garden. In other words, that's why everyone's playing narratives, pretending it's with a free markets position, with fake capitalism, fake communism, with bombs behind his back, with psychology, with physical delusions. They can't speak. They can't allow the defensive correlation of the industries of the campuses with physical delusion propagating and punishing people for proper sensibility. We'll only have that people with passions and anger allowed to have that to hurt when it's too late. We don't have what's recorded to stop right before it happens. And while it's happening every day, it's going to happen tomorrow and they're going to bring it on training, which is way deeper than training. And its areas maintained, it's online maintained out too formally. So in the beginning, God created heaven and the earth was void and empty, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved over the waters. And God said, let my light be made. But this is what this is coming to, is correlation, not comparison. Correlation of the identity of space coming through it. This is science. But the messengers knew that the sciences were already criminally re-engineered. And space maintained that way, as standing criminal insidiousness natures in relationship to an archetypal criminal enterprise, the devil. Criminal enterprises create criminal insidiousness natures and acts and progressions. Criminal insidiousness natures like wrongdoers, and like associate criminals, and like predicate acts. Eve is the subject and Adam is the verb. Now, the predicate is always a positive, is only the main verb. Well, a main verb not used as a main verb, you inflect it. It becomes a participle nature, identity of value, or it becomes, because remember, nature is value, or it becomes an infinitive nature if you put to before a word. You could be another pronoun, but like mostly it's to. You put the word to before a verb, now you have an infinitive nature. It's not a complete sentence because it's not connected onto its value nature relationship to itself as a positive, which will only stay positive progressive onto itself. Now this is manifest within as how English works perfectly, because it's just manifest that way. The identity of space is the identity of the campus Marcius, spelled with a C, not a T. So this is about the value of correlation as an identity of value, as a forever nature, not as Allah's nature, which is greater than temporary space nature, but it's the cause of the perfect positive value nature progression per science. But in other words, it doesn't work with concrete cities stacked, people stacked by forced, uncharged, but recorded forced, tactically denatured relationship to nature that they forced with slavery on our founders, on all the colonists, even on our founders, and on the Native Americans, differentially and commonly too, multi-front, purposely. Everyone as Oz, kings as Oz, extorted to that position of fact-cheaping nature. Fact-cheaping nature, that's what the other video is about, the same thing now. I don't have to say. And God said, let light be made, and light was made. And God saw the light, and it was good. And he divided the light from the darkness. And it was good. He didn't say the dirt and back. And he called the light day, and the darkness night. And there was evening and morning one day. God is coming through. In other words, an identity, not God. God is a concept, value G. This comes with English. Adam is the subject, Eve is the verb. Value G is God, a correlation nature. We know when we're right, when it's positive, we're all the way top, overall down, overall up, overall right to left, and overall left to right, because this identity is the phenomenon. Even though it's clear, it's greater than all space. And it's a demonstration of itself, being the cause of positive value nature progressions. Again, it doesn't work without the overall up. In other words, the soils of a condition of a nature and of a relationship to nature too, tactically denatured for this, for fact treatment rackets, blaming cause negative value nature progressions, because space nature system will continually cause negative value nature progressions in demonstration of what it already revealed, lost, because it will only stay positive value nature progression onto itself, the identity of space. So the value of Earth, even though we're only one little species, we're depleting it too long. That's why there's nuclear isotomic, long-lived isotomic particles in the ocean now. That's why there's people going to outer space. That's not ego. That's tactical pseudo-education. That's physical delusions. That's pseudosciences. For example, all this time they didn't figure out that religions are about the criminal reengineering of the sciences that came before them, and for the criminal reengineering of human fact treatment nature, justification nature, conviction nature, in relationship to that. And that's what's teaching, as with the suit and tie. We'll see. Excuse me. Because Islam is about this too. is valuing non-believers, and is valuing believers who see something that is not right always, so they don't have the obligation to pray. You see, but they're making ISIS and they're making narratives with fake counters manifest in relationship to an area's crime. That's with every nation fluent, which is intercampus, interage of fact treatment nature consciously, seeing us as Oz, as kings. Even kings and queens are Oz in relationship to this. Because even chiefs and presidents, that's why Barack Obama couldn't, well, he could. Still, each branch of government right now could say, forget it, we're stacked. Anthony's right. You know what I'm saying? We have to be Romulus together. We have to be Victoria together. And we have to admit that that's not freedom. That's not free means. It's tactically denatured. People stacking with cities, but it's at a massive scale. It's tactically, thank God, tactically denatured suburbs. We don't need opinions. It's just recorded. People don't realize it though. And they don't realize the means. That's what, it's not just because the garden is a story when we get to that part. This is about criminal insidiousness nature, the cause of a criminal enterprise. But this is an archetypal criminal enterprise. Internation, internation. In other words, when you get to that part about slavery in the Bible, you're supposed to be able to tell already, we're supposed to be on the narrative. This is criminal insidiousness nature. Everyone's a role with it. And we have to understand the quality of fact treatment nature. That's what a quality of fact treatment, these aren't just words because they're positive or negative. This is science. This is real science. See, but we have science stacked knowledge hide behind their backs. So they could pretend they can't believe things. Also in conjunction with recorded online areas, they just have people pretend they know people to cover and conceal original and progressed internation agencies recorded and confessed here, and worse, all together knaves here and there, fake identities, blaming each other for rackets through this and against us each, especially us private. You know what I mean? We have no legal representation, and we have our history recorded breaching employee, criminally foreign influenced through areas too. Maintain blame on other rackets. We'll see, recorded. And so, and he called the light day and the darkness night, and there was evening in the morning one day. And God said, let there be a firmament. Now see, why is it a he? The girl said. The what girl said, why is it he? Because This God is positive or negative. It's a correlation nature. It's not saying God is. This is God. That's right. It's talking. This is in other words. This when you put it all together, the science is sharing an identity. Predicate is always a positive value onto an identity as positive. Correlation nature. It's positive inherently, actively, and progressively at the same time, simultaneously unto itself. Predicate act is always inherently, actively, and progressively negative value nature relationship to itself. Predicate act, like extortion, murders caused by criminal enterprises, especially ones caused by criminally legalized ones, especially ones caused by criminally legalized ones, maintain areas, roles, now online, space nature, fact treatment nature, because this is what it's about, English. Space nature, fact treatment nature. Every part of English of grammar is a space value. Space nature value. A nature of value. It's important because then, to say that, because then that's how the identity of value, discernment. In other words, the main verb, not used as a main verb, that's why I'm saying, becomes a participle nature, a different identity of value, just by adding ing on it, or er. A participle nature or an infinitive nature, add to in front of a verb, and now you change the nature. Now it's not. It can't complete a sentence. It can't complete its positive relationship onto itself. Because it works. It has a positive, inherent, active, and progressive, simultaneous relationship to itself. This is an identity of value, nature, discernment system, in demonstration with and as the only one. That is the campus, right? And or as a correlation nature, like God, a campus, the campus Marcia, revealed. A nature of internation sciences revealed before their criminal re-engineering. And to maintain justifications of that criminally foreign influence, internation, perpetual slavery of the human fact treatment nature, not just our founders, not just Mao, till recorded in the context where even King's Oz had to entertain business market positions forced from a forced tactically denatured base being hurt, forced to react on that, forced with no one being able to agree about it, forced to be able to having to hurt people that everyone's got the same enemy, but no one could see that because it's fluent through his sides. It's playing the knaves. Now it's got bombs. You see what I'm saying? So all this time they have the same things they can't defend. Science. This is about the science. How they share an identity. So we're talking about organized crime. We're talking about not just the RICO statute. Before the RICO statute was the ACA, Organized Crime Control Act. With that, through time, we have recorded internation agencies criminally legalized together, recorded, and we have a Verb, internation criminal enterprise juxtaposed with this. A part of how that is with the odds there, everyone, because what's maintaining that is in juxtaposition where has ill stewards like henchmen and stuff like that formally. I mean originally with interbranch with crazy even Jim Crow laws, unthinkable. I mean not just one thing. It was tactical breaching roles. We're still breached. You know what I mean? Our history is still breached. Talk about the difference between science. It's not their comparison. You can't defend the value of correlation. Correlation doesn't compare.